Hello everyone at Multiplex, I am Eli McKegg and welcome to round 2 of the bracket breakdowns. That's right, we are in the Sweet 16 of the tournament where we are still barreling through and we have a lot of great matchups for you to see. And let's just get out of it. Or let me just mention right now, round 1 was fantastic. All the matches were hard fought, or a few of the matches were very hard fought. We were able to get 2 knockouts in round number 1, and both knockouts came from members of the Fellowship. And that's just an amazing thing to hear, that one faction is that dominant in this tournament. But anyway, let's get done. We're done with introductions. Let's go straight into what matches you can look forward to in round number 2. Now the first match on my little notepad here, for in the Hogsmeade region, we have the number 1 seeded Dominic Rizzi versus the number 16 seeded Thomas Scully. Now both men had great matches against their competitors. When you look at Dominic Rizzi, in round number 1 of his match against Caleb Boatman, he was able to get 9 out of 10 correct. He was able to go 90%, missing only one question in round number 2. And then Dominic was able to get all 5 of his round 2 questions correct, going 100%, only bringing one of them down to multiple choice. And then out of the 5 questions in round number 3, he was able to get 4 out of 5, betting very smartly in that round, which it was not able to help Caleb Boatman at all. Dominic ending round 1, ending that first match against Caleb Boatman 22-21. Dominic bringing his record up to 6-1. Again, that was a great match that everyone could have seen, because Caleb Boatman, though he was ranked number 32, he was able to prove that he is a great competitor by himself. Again, bringing his score up to 21. Unfortunately, he was unable to beat the number 1 seed, Dominic Rizzi. And now we look at Dominic's opponent, Thomas Scully. He went, and who's also Caleb Boatman's partner in Fandom teams. Thomas Scully was able to get 7 out of 10 correct in his round number 1 against Henry Sanchez, and then Thomas was able to get 4 correct on his spin, bringing them in his round 2 spin, only bringing 1 down to multiple choice, and he was able to steal 2 of Henry Sanchez's spins. Well, he was able to steal 2 of his questions. One of them was only multiple choice, so he was able to get 80% correct on his spin, and he stole 40% on Henry's turn. But then ultimately, round 3, there was only 2 questions asked, and Thomas was able to get both of them correct, but I counted them all, like out of all 5 of the questions. He was able to get 2 of them correct, and he was able to bet 1 point, he bet 2 points, he bet 2 points on his first question, he bet no points on his second question, getting 40% out of the 5, though 5 were not asked, 2 were. And Thomas was able to bring his score up to 19. Which is very interesting to note, because it is 19, he is 2 points away from Dominic's score, and Thomas Scully was able to move on, scoring again 19 out of 40 potential points to earn. Again, Thomas brings his record up to 2-1, and Dominic was able to bring his record up to 6-1. So Dominic versus Thomas, that's going to be a very interesting match when you look at the stats. Though Dominic was able to get more questions right, and overall, because more questions were asked, Thomas was able to have a pretty dominant performance against Henry Sanchez. So that there's a potential that Thomas could beat Dominic, and I don't really think you should rule out Thomas at all against Dominic Rizzi. But Dominic Rizzi, being representing the kingdom with his manager Caleb Coho, is a very dominant force in this division by himself. But now having Caleb Coho, who is also very dominant in this division, he is someone that people should look out for, in my opinion. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what this tournament has to offer. I'm very much looking forward to seeing if Dominic is able to move on in this tournament. Now, we're going on to our next match in round 2, which is the number 8 seed Maggie Bracala versus the number 24 seeded Richard Schwartz. Now, let's look at Maggie. Maggie had a rough start in this tournament. Her first match against Zadie Smith. Both of them went 4 out of 10 in round number 1. That's a very small margin. And both of them ended up with 40% getting in that first round. And then round 2 came around, and that's sort of when Maggie got her stride. She was able to get 4 out of 5 correct, bringing 3 of them to multiple choice, and then she was able to seal 2 of the 5 questions asked to Zadie Smith, getting 80% correct on her spin, and she was able to steal 40% of the 100% of questions asked. And that brought her score up to 11 against Zadius' 7, who he was able to get 2 correct, 1 being brought to multiple choice. And then we got to the very interesting we get to the very interesting round 3, which there were 5 questions were asked throughout the entire round. Maggie was able to get 4 out of 5 of them correct, even though she bet 0 points on question 1, 3, 4, and 5. And Zadius was only able to get 3 out of 5 questions correct, betting 1 point on question 1, or getting 1 point on question 1, getting 1 point on question 3, and getting 2 points on question 4, losing 1 point in question 2, and betting 0 points in question 5. Now, Maggie bet 0 points for 4 questions, but she lost 1 point on question 2. So that led the match to go 10 for 10, and then we went to sudden death. One of the matches that went to sudden death. I believe, if I can recall, 3 matches went to sudden death. I'll probably be corrected. But Maggie was able to get, in their sudden death, only 1 additional question was asked. She was able to get it. Zadius was unable to, so she went on to win 11 to 10, bringing her record up to 1-3, or bringing Maggie's record up. I can't believe I was looking at Zadius's. Excuse me, bringing Maggie's record up to 3-0. Again, she still has that 1 knockout, so she's still a dominant force even with that 1 knockout. And Zadius, he put up as big of a fight as he could, and I hate to say that with a former teammate, but he could have done better. There were a lot of times when I was watching the matches and I know he could have gotten them right, but again, there's only so much you can study for. But anyway, we're moving on to Maggie's opponent, Richard Schwartz, who you can arguably say had the biggest upset victory against his opponent, Jeremy Adams, who was ranked number 9. Again, in round number 1, Richard was only able to gain 3 points out of 10, only going 30 out of 100%, which is interesting when you look at it, because Jeremy is a very dominant force, and he went for 7. Formerly, he did go, in one of his big matches, he went 10 out of 10. It was very interesting to look at him only going 7 out of 10, but then again, he was ahead of Richard. But then we get to what I believe was the deciding round, was the round two. I'm sorry. This very exciting tournament, where Richard was able to go 5 for 5, only bringing 2 down to multiple choice on his turn. So he was able to get all of them right, and then he was able to steal 2 out of the 5 questions that were asked to Jeremy, with Jeremy only able to get 2 correct. So that brought Richard's score up to 3, and Jeremy's was up to 11, so Richard was ahead going into round 3. And then only 4 questions were asked in round number 3. Jeremy was only able to get 2 of them right. Richard was only able to get 2 of them right, but it was all dependent on the betting, because Jeremy bet 1 point on question 1, he was able to get it. He bet 1 question on question 2, he was able to get it. But then the real kicker, when you look at Richard, he bet 1 point on question 1, he got it. He bet 0 points, which was, in my opinion, a very smart strategy. But then we get to question 3, Richard bet 2, Jeremy bet 1, and Jeremy got it wrong, so he lost that 1 point, and Richard was able to go ahead even further by 2 points. But then we get to question 4, which Jeremy bet 2, Richard bet 0, Jeremy got it wrong, and Richard, I believe he also got it wrong. Yeah, I think he got it wrong. I'm not 100% sure, because the question, I only said he got 2 out of 5. I didn't write down if he got it right or not. But out of the possible 5 questions that could have been asked, Richard got 2 of them right, Jeremy got 2 of them right, but it was all about the betting, the score ended with Jeremy Adams with 10 points, Richard Schwartz with 16 points, Richard bringing his record up to 2-1. Jeremy going down to 4-3 with 1 KO. I think this match very much shows that it doesn't matter where you're ranked. It's very possible to win because, again, Richard Schwartz won the match, and now he's going up against Maggie Bracala in the Sweet 16. So I believe there is a heavy chance that Richard could go on and beat Maggie Bracala. Now, if I say that again, I know Cody Newberry is going to bust through my door and say, "You idiot, you scum of the earth." I know that very much, but I'm trying to be impartial right here. I'm trying to be unbiased because, again, it's very possible that we could get an upset with Richard. Heck, Richard could go all the way to the finals because that's how big of an upset that one match against Jeremy was. But in the end, it doesn't matter what the upset was because in the end it's going to be Maggie versus Richard. Who knows where that can lead to. Now, moving on to our next match in the Nowhere region, we have the number 29th seed JD West versus number 13th seed Kane McMillan. Now, again, that was another big upset match as the number 29 seed was able to beat the number 4 seed. And we go looking at this match, JD West, who was able to get 6 out of 10 correct on round number 1. James White, the number 4 seed, was only able to get 3, only able to get half of what JD got. But then when you look at round 2, it seemed things were going back in James's favor, James White's favor, as he was able to get 3 correct on his turn, and he was able to steal 3 out of the 5 of JD's points, but the 3 that James did get right, 2 of them were brought to multiple choice. And JD, on his spin alone, was only able to get 2 out of 5 of the questions right. He wasn't able to steal a single point, so that went on to make it go James 11, JD number 10. But then again, it was all about round number 3. All 5 questions were asked. James was only able to get 2 of them right, and JD was able to get 3 of them right. And again, it was all about the betting. James bet 1, he bet 0, he lost 2 points in question 3, he bet 2 points on question 4, and he was able to lose 2 points on question 5, and that was James. JD, however, he lost 1 point on question 1, he bet 0 points on question 2, he bet 2 points on question 3, he bet 2 points on question 5, and he bet 0 points he bet 2 points on question 4 and he bet 0 points on question 5, leading the final score being James White 10, JD West 13. And again, that's so far from what I've been noticing, that's been the killer for a majority of these upset matches. It's been all about the round 3s. Because JD West, he's bringing up his record from 1-3 to 2-3 right now with 1 KO. And James White going for the first time to 2-1. JD able to give James his first loss. And I think, again, this proves it doesn't matter where you're ranked. All that matters right now is how you play the game and how smartly you bet, because JD West was able to pick a big victory right there against the number 4 seed. Now, moving on to Kane McMillan's match against Sean McKee, number 13 going up against the number 20. Kane and Sean were basically going sort of even, as Kane got 5 out of 10 correct, and Sean was able to get 6 out of 10 correct. Sean was able to get an early lead, but then, we go into round number 2. Where Kane McMillan was able to go 5 for 5, not bringing a single point on his turn to multiple choice. And Sean, he was unable to get any of his questions correct. So Kane had the chance to steal 5 points because I believe all of them were brought down to multiple choice. But he was only able to get 3 out of those 5 stolen, 5 correct of the steals. And that led Kane to have 18 points. So for the score of 18-6, Kane won the match via KO. Kane is the first person in this tournament, I forget how they were released, but Kane was able to get a knockout victory over Sean McKee. And the big rivalry right here, the Fellowship versus House Night Fury. This was one of the first big matches that happened. And Kane was able to knock out one of the members of House Night Fury, of Nico Rigoli's faction. I know Cody's been rubbing that in his face for a while. And now Kane McMillan bringing his record up to 3-2 with 1 knockout. Sean McKee going down 1-2. And again, this was a very big match. Kane dominated the entire second round, first and second. He dominated the second round. He didn't much dominate the first round. But yeah, that was a major match that I was shocked to see, and now I'm very much looking forward to seeing Kane McMillan versus JD West. I know Cody during the promos were saying, oh, you're giving us an easy way into the title picture. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing if Kane's going to knock out JD like he knocked out Sean McKee in round number 1. I'm very much looking forward to that. Now, moving on to the next match in the Nowhere region. It is the number 5 seed Chris Doman versus the number 12 seed Lucas Schilbach. That's going to be very fun because it is a former Fandom Team champion, Lucas Schilbach, versus someone that he competed against in the Fandom Team triple threat match, Chris Doman. So I'm very much looking forward to this match. There's a lot of history between these two, and I'm just curious who's gonna come out victor. Now, looking at Chris Doman though, in his round 1, he went up against Malcolm Cody Lake. He was dominant in a majority of this match because he went 6-10 in round number 1. Malcolm only going 2-10, and then round number 2, he got 4 out of 5 of them correct on his spin, only bringing one of them down to multiple choice. But he was able to steal 1 out of the 5 questions asked to Malcolm, but it was brought down to multiple choice. However, Malcolm also had a dominant round 2, as he was able to get 4 out of 5 questions correct, bringing 2 of them down to multiple choice against Chris Doman's 1. And he was able to steal 1 of the 5 questions that Chris Doman did not have, however, that was brought down to multiple choice as well. And back to what I was saying earlier, it all depends on round number 3, because Chris Doman got 2 of the 5 correct, Malcolm only got 1, and it was all about how you bet. And Chris Doman bet 0 on question 1 and on question 2, and he bet 1 point on question 3, and he bet 2 points on question number 4, whereas Malcolm, he lost a point on question 1, he lost 2 points on question 2, and he bet 2 points on question 3, but he lost 2 points on question 4, leaving the final score being Chris Doman 17, Malcolm Cody Lay at 5. And Chris Doman still undefeated, bringing his record up to 3-0, Malcolm going down to 1-4. Now, with a 1-4 record, I don't know what Malcolm can see in the future, but who knows? Like, he could come back. It's always possible for him to come back. But as of right now, Chris Doman's the one that's being dominant, is going on to the next round. But again, I really don't think we should lock up Malcolm anytime soon. But now, moving on to Chris Doman's opponent, Lucas Schilbach, I'm sorry, Lucas, where in round number 1, I just remember this match. Round number 1 of Lucas versus Alec, it did not go neither of their ways, because round number 1 ended with both of the opponents only getting 2 out of 10 correct, leaving Lucas only having 2 points and Alec only having 2 points. Now, it started sort of changing in round number 2 as Lucas was able to get 4 out of 5 correct, not bringing any of them down to multiple choice, and then he was able to steal 3 out of the 5 that Alec had, bringing all of them were brought down to multiple choice. Now, Alec, on the other hand, only got 1 out of the 5 correct, and it was brought down to multiple choice, but he was unable to steal the 5th question of Lucas Schilbach. And the score after round number 2 was 13-3, so it was very close. That could have ended in a knockout. If Lucas would have gotten that 5th question correct, that would have been a knockout. Lucas would have won by a knockout, which would have been interesting to say we have 3 knockouts in this on 1 round. But then again, it was all about round number 3. And Lucas bet very smart, maybe. It all depends on your point of view, because he bet 0 points on question number 1 and on question number 3, with Alec betting 1 point on question 1 and 2 points on question 2, but Lucas, wanting to end the match very soon, right there, bet 2 points on question number 2. He was able to get those 2 points. And Lucas lost 2 points on question number 3, truly cementing the loss. Lucas only getting 2 of the 5 correct, Alec only getting 2 of the 5 correct. Lucas winning that match 15-4, and Lucas was able to bring his score up bring his record up to 3-2, still having that 1 knockout. So we're going to be seeing Chris Doman versus Lucas Schilbach. Chris with 3-0, Lucas 3-2. Let's see if that's going to play any factor. Again, a former team champion versus a person he competed against for the team title. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that match plays up in the future. And I just can't wait for round number 2. All these matches are very big and exciting. Anyway, moving on to the first match of the Nublar District. The Nublar District, yes. If you watch Jurassic Park, you know Eastland Nublar. And the first match of this district is the number 2 seeded Sandy Robinson versus the number 18 seeded Nico Rigoli. This is going to be a very interesting match because it's 2 members of House Night Fury going up against each other. Sandy Robinson, a very dominant player in fandoms and in regular movie war zones, we can't forget about that, going up against his manager Nico Rigoli, who has had a lot of criticism by a lot of fans and by a lot of managers, especially Jay Burns, who really wants to have a faction. He's been calling out Nico non-stop. I really just want to see a match between Jay Burns and Nico Rigoli, just talking to each other and trying to see who's the better player at Fandom. But we're here to look at this one match, Sandy Robinson versus Nico Rigoli. And Sandy, in his round 1 match, got 5 out of the 10 correct in the first round. He was able to get 4 out of the 5 correct, not bringing a single one of them to multiple choice. And he was able to steal 2 out of the 5 questions that his opponent, Nick Carley, had, but they were all brought to multiple choice. And Nick was able to have a mildly good run. Nick Carley had 3 out of 10 correct in round number 1. He was able to get 2 out of the 5 correct, but they were brought to multiple choice. But he was able to steal the one question that Sandy didn't have correct, which was brought to multiple choice. Again, that's getting the score up to 15-6. Not that many questions needed to be asked. But in round number 3, the important round in my opinion, Sandy got 2 out of the 5. Nick didn't get a single question correct in that. But Sandy, he bet smart. He bet 1 point on question 2, and he bet 1 point on question 3, able to get those 2 points. But he lost 1 point in question number 2. Nick, however, lost 1 point in question 2, lost 2 points on question 2, and he lost 2 points on question 3, leading the score to go 16-1. I hope I did my math right. If I didn't, I will be corrected. Don't worry. And Sandy able to bring up his record to 4-2. Nick, however, going to 0-2. I hate to say that about Nick, but it's okay. You can pick yourself back up. It's possible. But yeah, seeing Sandy going 4-2 now, that's very exciting because that means he could be up for so many things in the future if he doesn't win this tournament. Now, moving on to Nico, who in the first round went up against the number 15 seed Nazario Montenegro. Again, there are a lot of times when I see the lower ranked competitor win and I just think, oh, that could be considered an upset. But this one really wasn't that bad of an upset because Nico went 5 out of 10, and Nazario went 3 out of 10. That's the starting score, Nazario 3, Nico 5. And Nazario was able to get all 5 of his questions correct. However, he brought 2 of them down to multiple choice, going up to 11, and Nico was able to get all 5 of his questions correct, however only bringing 1. However, he brought 1 to multiple choice, going to 14 and 11, and then where it calmed down, 5 questions were asked in round number 3. Both of them only got 2 out of the 5 correct. Nico bet 0 points throughout the entire round 3, while Nazario lost 1 point on both questions 1 and 2, bet 0 points on question 3, and he was able to get 2 points on questions 4 and 5. However, that was not enough as Nico was able to end the match with the score with 14 against Nazario's 13. This was a very fun match to me. And Nico was able to bring his score up bring his record up to 3-3, whereas Nazario Montenegro is now at 2-3. Nico able to show that he has truly been studying, as a lot of people have been always saying, like, oh, get ready to have a loss, Nico. Get ready to have a loss, Nico. Get ready to have a loss, Nico. But this match was able to show that Nico has been studying with his partner, Chris Doman, as 2 members of Dedicated to Art. He's been most likely been studying with a lot of the House Night Fury members, and very much looking to the future and wanting to become a champion and show what he can do. And I forgot to mention Lucas Schobach was representing the Kingdom. as well as Dominic Rizzi. But yeah, Nico versus Sandy, that's going to be a very interesting match. I believe that's going to be a match that people are going to be talking about to the end of time. And now we're moving on to our next match of the New Blood District, which is the number 26 seed, Jay Burns, versus number 10 seed, Brother Tim Bracala. And Jay Burns, he wants a faction. He wants to be leading a faction. I don't know what he'd call it. Maybe Fire and Desire. I don't know. But Tim Bracala representing the Fellowship. And we're going to go look at each player, and we're going to look at Jay Burns first. And round one was a little iffy at the start, but Jay was able to come out with a lead coming out of round number one, getting 4 out of the 10 correct. Douglas Castle, the number 7 seed, only getting 2 out of 10 correct. And then we go into round 2, Douglas only getting 1 out of his 5 questions correct. And he was able to steal 1 of the 5 out of Jay's. I think 1 of them was brought to multiple choice. No, neither of them were brought to multiple choice. And then we go over to Jay, who was able to get 3 out of his 5 correct. 1 of them was brought to multiple choice, and he was able to steal 3 out of the 5 of Douglas's, all brought to multiple choice. And then we get to the score of 12-6. All in favor of Jay. And in round number 3, no one got any of these questions right. And there were only 3 questions asked, and no one got any of them. And the reason why I mention that is because Jay bet 0 the entire time. And Douglas, he lost 2 points in round number 1, question 1. He lost 2 points on question 2, and he lost 2 points on question 3, trying to bet big the entire time. This final score is Jay 12, Douglas 0. And trust me, I double checked constantly, making sure I wasn't wrong. And yeah, it's 12-0. And if I am wrong, I will 100% be corrected. You can bet your butt on that. And so the records go up or down for some. Jay Burns currently has a record of 2-2. Douglas Castle only is 2-1. That's okay. He'll most likely come back again. He started off in Fandom undefeated, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens next. And so we're going to be moving on to Jay's opponent. And you can say Jay had an upset, but I wouldn't really call that an upset, because in Full Metal Geek, Jay Burns is a very dominant player over there. So I would never call a victory for Jay an upset. Just to let you know, I wouldn't call that an upset. But we're going on to our next opponent, which is Tim Bracala against Jay Burns. Tim Bracala's match was very interesting, and I'll tell you why. Tim was able to get 6 out of 10 correct. His opponent, Adonis Nazario, was only able to get 1 out of 10 correct. Tim leading the pack with 6-1. And then we get to round number 2. Adonis went first, I can tell you that much, because that's the strategy of the Fellowship. Adonis only getting 4 out of the 5 of his questions correct, all brought down multiple choice. Tim was able to steal 1 of them. And so when you look at it, Adonis has 5, and the one he stole was not brought to multiple choice. Adonis has 5, Tim now has 7. And now we go to Tim's round. He spun, he got a category he liked. He goes perfect in round 2, brought 2 of them to multiple choice. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim ends round 2 with 16. Your winner via knockout, Tim Bracala. Tim was able to get a knockout in this match. His first knockout of the entire everything. Now I gotta check something because I'm doubting myself. Tim Bracala. Oh, no. I was right. I shouldn't have doubted myself. Tim Bracala going 3-1, bringing his record up to 3-1 with 1 knockout. Adonis Nazario, unfortunately, going 1-2. And also, another big story coming out of this match. Adonis Nazario going to be taking a break, not saying goodbye, but he's going to be taking a break so he can focus on his own YouTube channel, so he can focus on his work. And I, for one, wish him the best of luck. I believe if you do this for a long time and not do anything, then that could be hurting yourself, because then you'll be focusing too much on the competition. However, seeing that he was able to find a different avenue, I believe that's going to be good for his mental health. And when he's ready to come back, let him come back. He's probably going to be a lot stronger than he was this time. But again, Tim Bracala, also him already having stuff outside, but also having this, He is focused. He is determined. 3-1, 1 knockout. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Jay Burns versus Tim Bracala, because Jay Burns, in his promo, said he was easily going to beat Tim Bracala, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing if Jay is going to be able to do that. If by the time you're seeing this, that match could already be posted on the Multiplex page, YouTube channel, or it might not. That's very determined on how this comes up, because I'm a very slow filmer, but that's neither here nor there. Moving on to the first match of the Matuni District. It is the number 30 ranked Cody Newberry versus the number 14th ranked Rene Villarreal Jr. Ah, man. I very much like talking about Kayla versus Cody, because that was the match that Cody won to get to round number 2. And I like talking about it because Cody went 5 for 10 and Caleb went 8 for 10. And so Caleb was in the lead. Then round number 2 happened. Caleb was only able to get 1 out of his 5 correct. Luckily it was for 2 points, and he was able to steal one of them. Yeah, he was able to steal one of Cody's, but it was brought to multiple choice. So he's at 11 now. Cody only able to get 3 out of 5 correct, all brought to multiple choice. So he's up now. And now he was able to steal 2 out of the 5 that Caleb had. One of them were brought to multiple choice. Now he has 11 points. We are tied going into round number 3. Caleb 11, Cody 11. Now, this is the fun part. As all 5 questions were asked, both men went 3 for 5. Let's see how they bet. Caleb bet 0 on the first question. He lost 2 points on question 2. He bet 2 points. Able to get the 2 points he lost back on question number 3. He bet 0 on question number 4, and he bet 2 on question 5. His score coming out of round number 3, 13. Cody only able to get 3 out of 5. He bet 2 points on question 1. He was able to get 13, and he bet 0 points for the rest of the round. We are going into sudden death, 13 to 13. And here we go. Caleb, 8 questions were asked, by the way, and sudden death. This was a long sudden death. Caleb getting 4 out of 8 correct. Cody getting 5 out of 8 correct. Cody winning the match, 18 to 17. Wow, that was I could say this was fun by the match talk and them jacking their jaws at each other, but that barely happened. So it was fun for the sheer fact of Cody was able to show Caleb who is boss, that Caleb is not as great as he says he is, and that's very entertaining for someone like me when I get into match mode. But Cody, his record now is 1-1. He was 0-1. Now he's 1-1. I would like to call this the biggest upset of the tournament, seeing a number 30 beat the number 3, and Caleb going from 3-3 to 3-4, still with 1 knockout. But again, this was a very exciting match. In my opinion, this was the best match of round number 1, not just because it was brought to sudden death, but because of how each of them played. Both of them played a dominant match. Both of them were able to show what sort of competitors they were, and very much I'm looking forward to seeing Cody in action against Rene Villarreal Jr. And let's look at RJ. RJ was able to get 8 out of 10 correct against his opponent Jim Green in round number 1. He only went 6 out of 10. Rene is ahead, 8 to 6. And then we get into round number 2. Rene was only able to get 3 out of 5 correct. None of them brought to multiple choice, though. And he was able to steal 3 out of the 5 of Jim's points, all brought to multiple choice, going up to 17. While Jim was only able to get 1 out of the 5 correct, and it was brought to multiple choice. And he was only able to steal 2 out of the 5 correct. Steal 2 out of the 5 of RJ's questions, but those were brought to multiple choice. Jim only able to go up to 9. And then we go into round number 3. Only 3 questions were asked in this round. Both competitors only able to get 1 out of 5 correct. RJ bet 0 on question 1. He bet 1 point on question 2, and he bet 0 points on round number 3, bringing his score up to 18. And Jim bet 0 points on question 2. He lost 2 points on he bet 0 points on question 1. He lost 2 points on question 2, and he bet 0 points on question 3, ending the match there, right there. Final score 18-7. Renee bringing his record up to 3-2, and Jim going down to 2-4 with 1 knockout. I'll be honest. Caleb loses. Jim Green loses. When you look at it, when you look down at the bracket, on the right side of the bracket, the Kingdom was not doing so hot. Only on the left side of the bracket was the Kingdom doing hot. And that's you looking at the bracket, not where I am now. Where I'm looking. But anyway, the Kingdom were not looking so hot on the side that didn't have Dominic and Lucas. Again, this is very interesting seeing RJ and Cody going up against each other. Both men help run Full Metal Geek. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing that match because I think it's going to be a doozy. And why did I say doozy? Because I like to say that word. But now we go on to the last match of round number 2 in the Montuni District, which is the number 6 seed, Albert Wittaharma, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, Albert, versus Eli McKegg at ranked number 11. Now, I'm going completely unbiased because I very much like to be unbiased, but we're going to talk about Albert first. And Albert and his opponent, number 27 seed Tim Smith, went very strong early on. Both men were able to go 6 out of 6 in round number 1. Both of them were pretty even. I don't know, I can't remember because I think that was one of the first matches released who was ahead first, but I'll have to check the tapes. In round number 2, Albert was only able to get 3 out of 5 correct, and it was brought to multiple choice. But however, he was able to steal 1 out of 5 during Tim's turn. And I don't believe it, and it was brought to multiple choice, and so he was able to go up to 12. But Tim was able to get 4 out of 5 correct on his spin. 3 were brought to multiple choice, and he was able to steal 2 out of the 5 of Albert's, both of which were multiple choice, leading him to go to 14. Now, all 5 questions were asked. Albert only got 3 correct. Tim only got 1 correct. I can't believe I didn't organize this the way I organized the rest of them. I'm very upset at myself. Shows you how early this match was. And, man, I wish I could tell you how much they bet. I can't remember though because I didn't organize this correctly. I think this was the very first match. However, I'll tell you this. They won some points, they lost some points. Ultimately, in the end, the score was Albert 12, Tim 12, and they went to sudden death. And 2 questions were asked in sudden death. And both of them got the first question incorrect. Albert was able to get the last question correct, leaving Albert to go 13-12. Albert wins the match. He is 3-0 going into round number 2. And Tim Smith, unfortunately, going down to 1-4. In the match, he said that he was going to be taking a break. He is going to be retiring. I think he said retire. I'd have to double check the tape. I'm going to have to double check a lot of stuff. But he said he's going to be retiring from Fandom, trying to focus more on admin business and maybe focusing on teams as well with the Red Rangers or Ranger Force. So yeah, Albert going on to round number 2. That's going to be very interesting to see what he does. However, we're going on to his opponent, which is moi, your host, number 11 the ranked Eli McKegg. And let me tell you, I had a lot of fun competing in this match against Jake Marangoni. And I'll just say right now, the person you see during the matches and the person you see right now, one's character, one's not. This is the analytical, real side of me. But we go into round number 1. Eli comes out 5 out of 10. Jake comes out 3 out of 10. Eli leading 5-3. And then we get to round number 2, which is a very strong round number 2 by both competitors, if I must say so myself. Because it was a strong match. Eli going 5 for 5, only bringing one of them down to multiple choice, gaining 100%. And then Jake going 5 for 5, not bringing a single one to multiple choice. Eli going in, still leading 14-13. And then we get to round number 3, where all 5 questions were asked. Eli going 3 out of 10, Jake going 2 out of or 3 out of 5. Jake going 2 out of 5. Eli lost 1 point on question 1. And Jake was able to get 1 point on question 1, switching the lead up to where Jake had 14 and Eli had 13. On question, Eli was able to get question number 2 right, betting 1 point. Jake bet 2 points and got question 2 wrong. They both lost 2 points on question 3. Eli was able to bet 1 point on question 4. Jake bet 2 points on question number 4. And then at the end, Jake bet 0 points. Eli bet 1 point, adding to his lead. Eli wins the match 14-12. Eli McKeag lifting up his record, going with his record of 4-4 with 1 knockout. Jake going down to 1-3. This was the first, and this is very important to mention, this is the first match that the Fellowship had where they did not have one of their competitors advancing to round number 2. I believe that is very important to mention for the simple fact that not all members of the Fellowship are in round number 2. We have 4 members of the Fellowship advancing to round number 2, and I believe there are 6 members of the Fellowship. Yeah, one of them being the champion. And 5 of them were in the tournament. Unfortunately, only 4 of them were able to advance on. Whereas Eli, representing New British Empire, was able to move on. And this was a very exciting match to be a part of. And yeah, this is just a fun match. I'm looking forward to seeing if myself, is going to be able to dethrone the undefeated Albert. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what your guys' thoughts on what each of all the matches. So those were the stats. Let's look back at what the matches entail. We have number 1 seed Dominic Grizzly versus number 16 seed Thomas Scully. We have the number 8 seed Maggie Bucala versus number 24 seed Richard Schwartz. We have the number 29 seed JD West versus number 13 seed Kay McMillan. We have the number 5 seed Chris Delman versus number 12 seed Lucas Schilbach. We have the number 2 seed Sandy Robinson versus number 18 seed Nico Rigoli. We have the number 26 seed Jay Burns versus number 10 seed Tim Bucala. We have the number 30 seed Cody Newberry versus number 14 seed Rene Villarreal Jr. We have the number 6 seed Albert Witterhammer versus number 11 seed Eli McKeag. That is your round 2 tournament, ladies and gentlemen. And this Sweet 16 is going to be amazing. I cannot wait to see what these matches have. I already have them ready. I already have their docs ready, so I can go back to making stats. And if you think I'm being very pretentious and being like, oh, that match again with Eli and Jake was very good and it was amazing, and if you don't like that, I'm just telling you like, oh, I wonder who's gonna win this match, and it's my matches, then I'm sorry, but I'm trying to be biased. I'm trying to lead a sort of, I don't know who's gonna win, so you have to determine who's gonna win. But anyway, I apologize for that. I shouldn't have done that. I very much apologize. I'm gonna keep it in though, because that's my stance. And so yeah, post in your comments down below who you think is going to win. I'm most likely going to share this on the Multiplex page, so post your comments in the Multiplex page as well, in the comment section for this video on the Multiplex page, for you to determine what your thoughts. Tell us what you thought about round 1. What was your favorite match in round 1? Which match was your least favorite? Which match was the one that made you go, wow, I did not expect that to happen. That was a big upset. Post in the comments down below. We the people of Multiplex love to hear from you. Am I an admin in Multiplex? No, I am not, but I like to say I am a big part of their group, because I just like to say that because I'm friends with them. I like to consider myself friends with all of them. But yeah, that has been your bracket breakdown for round number 2. And for everyone that is here, that is just me. I have been Eli McKeag, and I hope that you have let me point at the camera, you have a great day, and let the fandoms fight.